How much does a perfect vacation photo cost? For dozens of tourists in China on August 6th, the price was terror. For 5 of them, it was their lives. They plunged from a bridge that officials knew was faulty, a bridge that had failed before. So why was it still open? This is the story of a system rotted by lies, where the lives of citizens are worth less than the image of the state. It all happened in Xinjiang, at a place called the Xiata Scenic Area, a region Beijing heavily promotes for its stunning natural beauty. The structure at the center of it all was the General's Bridge, an internet-famous attraction that also served as the only way for tourists to reach the main viewpoint. The date was August 6, 2025, the time just after 6 in the evening. Mr. Tong, a tourist on the bridge, described the moment of terror. He was with 4 friends walking across the first of the bridge's 3 sections. Suddenly, he said, the steel cable on the right side of the bridge suddenly broke and it collapsed all at once. 3 of his friends plunged downwards. Some people fell into the shallow, rocky river below. Others crashed onto the stones. Many, like Mr. Tong, were left trapped on the violently tilted, broken structure. Another tourist, Ms. Zhang, was on the far bank, about to cross back. She saw people suddenly sprinting away from the bridge in a panic. She ran closer and saw the horror unfolding, people struggling in the water, some being swept away by the current. In the critical first moments, before any official response was visible, a different kind of rescue began. Mr. Tom reported seeing local herdsmen spontaneously jump on their horses and ride down the riverbank, searching for victims in the water. It was a moment of pure, human instinct, a stark contrast to the bureaucratic failure that caused the disaster. The official toll would later be confirmed: 5 dead, 24 injured. Ms. Tang, who was with Mr. Tom's group, survived, but 3 of her friends were hurt. In the chaos, their cameras and phones, the very devices used to capture holiday memories, were lost to the river. It took over an hour, until around 7:20 p.m., for a rescue forklift to arrive and begin evacuating those still stranded on the wreckage. When the media called for answers, they were met with a wall of official deflection. A staffer at the Zhawas County Culture and Tourism Bureau confirmed the time of the collapse, but claimed that as for casualties, the specific situation is unclear. The County Emergency Management Bureau was even more vague, stating only that a rescue was underway, and other details are being verified. But there is one detail they cannot obscure. According to media reports, on June 19, 2024, the very same bridge suffered a tilting accident. The scenic area's management publicly promised they would strengthen its inspections and maintenance. They knew it was a death trap. The promise was a lie, and 14 months later, 5 people paid for that lie with their lives. After the fatal collapse, the Xiata Scenic Area issued a new notice, announcing the park was closed for a safety inspection, an inspection that came 5 lives too late. The story of the General's Bridge in Xinjiang is a blueprint for a national crisis. The same pattern of ignored warnings, shoddy construction, and deadly consequences plays out on a horrifying scale across China. Let's look at the country's major infrastructure. On May 1, 2024, 48 people were killed when a section of the Meizhou-Dabu Expressway in Guangdong province collapsed into a muddy pit. A year later, on June 24, 2025, the Huzhi-Heiguan Bridge in Guizhou was completely wiped out by a landslide. State media later confirmed that officials had identified stability problems with the slope that very same day, yet traffic continued to flow. The danger isn't confined to remote highways. It's embedded deep within the tourism industry itself, a world of attractions built for quick profits and viral photos. Consider the Detian waterfall in Guangxi, a double AAA-rated national scenic area. For context, think of that like a premier national park in the United States, or a UNESCO World Heritage Site. It's a designation meant to signify the absolute highest standards of quality and, crucially, safety. On August 10, 2024, a conveyor belt-style ride called the Magic Carpet malfunctioned. An eyewitness described the terror. It suddenly stopped for half a second, and then started to slide backward. The crowds all crashed into each other. The people at the bottom were all piled up. The guardrails on both sides also broke. One person was killed. 60 others were injured. This is the reality at China's best attractions. At others, it's even worse. In Chongqing, on September 18, 2020, a tourist fell to their death from a zipline. In Guizhou, on February 12, 2021, another internet-famous bridge buckled, its steel frame bending and crushing the people standing on it. Sometimes, the system doesn't even need to physically break to fail its people. During the chaotic May Day holiday rush of 2025, a tour boat on a river in Guizhou capsized, killing 10 people. That same week, the entire tourism system seemed to implode. At Zhangjiajie National Forest Park, thousands of tourists were left stranded with no shuttle buses, chanting, "Refund! Refund!" The same scenes of chaos and anger erupted at scenic spots in Guangdong and Henan, where tourists waited in line for over 4 hours for rides they never got. This chaos fuels another deadly trend: unregulated wild trips to undeveloped canyons, popularized on social media. In 2019, a flash flood in Hubei's Duobi Gorge, a famous wild spot, killed 13 people who were there for the thrill. From top-rated national parks to remote canyons, from brand-new expressways to rickety rope bridges, the evidence is overwhelming. These are not isolated accidents. They are the symptoms of a deep systemic sickness. So why does this keep happening? How can a state that prides itself on total control be so catastrophically inept at keeping its own people safe? The surface-level answer is mismanagement. An expert from the World Tourism Cities Federation, Wang Xiaoyu, calls it a tourism squeeze, where scenic spots use a single photo to attract massive crowds they are completely unprepared to handle, leading to what he terms a failure, a total system breakdown. The numbers confirm this chaos. On a single day during the 2025 May Day holiday, Hunan province alone recorded over 14 million visitors. The system is pushed to its breaking point. But mismanagement is just a symptom. The disease is the system itself. The root cause is the authoritarian nature of the Chinese Communist Party. First, there is no accountability. In the West, a tragedy like the Xinjiang bridge collapse would trigger a firestorm. Independent investigators would be appointed. A free press would dig relentlessly, exposing corruption and corner-cutting. Victims' families could sue for justice in an independent court. Politicians would be held accountable. In China, that entire ecosystem of accountability is absent. The party investigates itself. The media's job is to control the narrative, not expose the truth. The courts serve the party, not the people. This creates a black hole of accountability, where the same failures can happen again and again. The official 2024 Tourism Safety Blue Book even admitted that safety issues and tourist attractions remained severe. Yet the deadly pattern continues. Second, the system prioritizes propaganda over people. The relentless pressure to produce impressive statistics, the fastest construction, the most tourists, the highest 5A's rating, creates a culture where safety is secondary. The Daitian waterfall, site of the deadly magic carpet failure, was one of those top-rated attractions. The rating is a propaganda victory. The body of a dead tourist is a public relations problem to be managed. This rot is felt by the citizens themselves. Listen to the voice of Mr. Zhong, a resident of Shanghai, commenting on the chaos of the May Day holiday. He doesn't just blame a few bad managers. He blames the entire culture of the state. He said, "The phenomenon of government departments lying flat is even more serious. Everyone has a lazy attitude, which is a form of lying fat. As a result, more management-related accidents will occur. It is a culture of profound indifference, born from a system where no one feels truly responsible, because the ultimate responsibility always lies with the untouchable party." Finally, the state's attempts to control everything often create more chaos. Mr. Wu, a retired official from Henan, gave a stunningly frank assessment. He described the state-mandated holiday rushes not as a celebration, but as a destructive, administrative act. Speaking of the gridlock that paralyzes the country, he said, "Every time there's a long holiday, almost all the expressways are jammed with traffic. This kind of planned economy is actually very destructive to the healthy operation of the economy. It is a system that, in trying to plan everything, creates unplanned disasters. It is a system where officials are apathetic, Accountability is impossible, and the people are left to pay the price for the state's obsession with its own image. These are not just crumbling bridges. They are monuments to a crumbling soul. They are the physical manifestation of a nation whose moral foundations have been systematically destroyed by a demonic ideology. For over 70 years, the Chinese Communist Party has waged war on the true spirit of China. It ripped out the nation's spiritual spine, the ancient beliefs in harmony, virtue, and reverence for life, and replaced it with a hollow doctrine of struggle, deceit, and materialism. When you teach generations that there is no God, no divine law, and no consequence beyond this life, is it any wonder that human life becomes cheap? Is it any surprise that officials build bridges with the structural integrity of tofu, so long as it serves their greed and ambition? The corruption that allows for Tofu-dreg projects is not merely financial. It is a spiritual corruption. It is the inevitable result of a system that fears truth, punishes integrity, and rewards loyalty to its own evil agenda above all else. Remember the victims. The 5 dead at the General's Bridge, the 10 drowned in the Guizhou River, the 48 crushed in the Guangdong expressway. They are not just casualties of negligence. They are sacrifices to a regime that sees people not as divine creations, but as numbers on a spreadsheet, cogs in its machine, or obstacles to be silenced. Their deaths are a direct consequence of the party's war on morality itself. The cracks in the concrete are a mirror to the cracks in the party's legitimacy. The snapped cables are a prophecy of a social contract that has been broken beyond repair. A regime that cannot even guarantee the safety of a family on a holiday outing has lost any claim to the mandate of heaven. It is a brittle, hollow structure, destined to collapse under the weight of its own lies and crimes. The General's Bridge has fallen, but it is a harbinger of a much greater collapse to come, the fall of the Chinese Communist Party itself. Only then can the Chinese people reclaim their heritage, rebuild their nation on a foundation of truth and virtue, and ensure that no more lives are sacrificed on the altar of a failed and evil ideology.